Tell us about the professor, the resurrecting convicts. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies. Enormous hunting hound. Okay. Being either okay. He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. Oh gosh, an enormous hound! How awful! Der Hund von Baskerville. After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? So you mean there's a professor's identity? As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which joins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. Oh. The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Came back to life. He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene, as described by the sole witness to those chilling events. There was a witness. But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat. Arnold Streber. He saw it happen. Okay, das scheint alles connected zu sein. The young witness. So this is a waxwork model of Arnold Streber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old. It's so horrifying. Scared out of his wits, the young grabber went to a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white. For the following few days... was? The sheer terror of what to have turned his... also okay. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic over for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tussauds. I can't quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand, I can understand why the man's hair turned white. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place. In a lonely graveyard, in the middle of the night. Yes, what was he up to? Following the execution. Ja, stimmt, das ist eine gute Frage. The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest level of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. Und da war wahrscheinlich dann der Vater auch involviert als forensischer Investigator, der Professor Mikoto war. Und der wusste wahrscheinlich Bescheid über den Hund über den Hund, der da benutzt wurde als Mordwaffe. Und irgendwas muss ihm Sorge bereitet haben, als wir dieses Halsband gefunden haben. Irgendwas muss ihm da Sorge gemacht haben. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too, the talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlor tale. But why did people stop believing it? Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution. No! But that would mean Mr. Dweber must have lied to the police and the newspapers. Okay. Also doch kein wandelnder Toter. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and nothing has been heard of him since. It's rather striking then that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life, that's not possible. But Dweber's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie. Ah! Gina! What's the bleeding Noah, Otto? What have you gone and done? Gina, what are you doing here? I asked Iris, and she said this is where I'd be, so... Gina, not so loud in the museum. Madame Tispace will have you take a position at the waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still had some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so... Alright Gina, we understand, but please, put down the gun. Sorry, I got scared. You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you here, Gina? What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. We found that dodgy Co's workshop. What? You found Dweber's workshop? Yep. Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are heading over there now in drag, so come on. Here's the address. I got the bus to write it out. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then. See ya there. Okay. Oops. You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place. In the exhibit over there. Oh dear, someone is feeling sorry for himself. Let's go, Mr. Sholmes, you're coming. Your words hearten me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madame would have me pay monetary recompense, and Iris' dinner plate would be empty once more. Forget that, I pay for everything. Then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail the carriage at once. No offer to share the cost for Mr. Sholmes then. I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Mr. Sato. Right, let's go. Da bin ich jetzt mal gespannt. Okay. 23rd October, Enoch Dweber's workshop. That looks like... Oh, it's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Indeed, it would appear so. though only a prototype naturally. Ah, so you got here then. Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time, you've really worked miracles. It's Toby here, who's the miracle worker. Ah, I thought you lot would show up before long. Was ist mit deinen Augen? Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted bro. He looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here. Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us a chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't wanna say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're hoping to snoop around in here, I'd get cracking. Lord Van Zieks and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again. I imagine you've got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance. And you, Mr. Sholmes? Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers. Very droll, Gregson. Very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Right then, let's see what we can find in here. Examine. Let's go. Was ist das hier? Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? It's an impressive looking bank messenger, that's for sure. I've no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Ah! Would you like a message? No, I'm fine. Thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing. Royal Society... Okay. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks. I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Naruhodo? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not going to let that go, is he? It's curious though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times. The science trophy has been entered into the court record, a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. It was found in Mr. Drebber's workshop. It's a very prestigious award for a young scientist. Okay, gucken wir mal. Royal Society Award. There's a little metal plaque here, look. Fostering burgeoning talent for the future of scientific discovery. It seems rather ironic, doesn't it? But clearly Mr. Drebber really was a very talented scientist. Okay. Aber sonst ist ja nix, oder? Nee, scheinbar nicht, okay. Okay, hier das Flugzeug. What on earth is this? Okay, ja klar, dass sie das nicht kennen. An aeroplane, Mr. Naruhodo. One day scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies. Is that how the trick will be described, is it? Sorry? Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it? Oh, well, this model is, yes, but the real aeroplane would actually fly high in the sky. While suspending from somewhere even higher in the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in mid-air and support it. So to you the solution is ever taller towers. Stellt euch das mal vor, wenn Flugzeuge tatsächlich von sowas getragen werden würden. Die Welt wäre sicherlich eine andere. Okay, was ist das hier? This is... It's a European-style quiver of arrows. With steel bolts inside. Oh, dann war er wahrscheinlich das mit dem Bogen. Mit der Armbrust. Oh, do you suppose... Crossbow bolts, these. And just the right size for the bow you lot turn up at the exhibition grounds. In other words... Yep, that's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Drebber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam. The details of the crossbow have been updated in the court record. A crossbow found hidden behind a tree under the experimentation stage at the exhibition grounds. It belongs to Mr. Enoch Drebber. Okay. Hier die Tür noch. This door doesn't want to open. Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it. There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard, so hands off till he gets there. With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute. Well, you don't have permission, and no one's given it to you. Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that. Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side. No, Drebber must have fled at the first sight of danger. Okay. Gucken wir uns die Maschine da mal an. I'm sorry, Mr. Naruto, that machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. There would be serious repercussions if you were to examine it from the Crown and the government. Stimmt. Okay. Aber für Sholmes nicht, oder ihm ist das egal. Und für Gina auch nicht. Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow. No loose change dropped on the floor or nothing. Not even a bond for Toby here, my dear fella. British people are very much ruled by their own ideas, aren't they? I think that's just these two, Mr. Sato. Oh. Something wrong, Mr. Sato? Well, I thought I heard a noise. From the far side of the door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby? Right, mind the grease. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard. Okay. Oh my, someone is in there. Ah, this rotten bleeding lock. My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if only it were countenance, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. Fine, I'll take the web for it. Just get us through that blasted door. There, you may enter at will. You've confused minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency. There's a strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. Okay. What's happened in here? Why is everything upside down? What? There ain't no one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. Maybe that was the sound of Drebber running away. But there's only one door into this room. And no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. What's that up there? Are they footprints? On the ceiling? Blow me, what have we here then? Ich mag das Dynamit da vorne nicht. Looks like someone was trying to burn someone in a hurry. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints. To what? To that Professor Hairbrain's balmy machine, is it? Blimey, if we'd had these, there'd have been no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There's something of great interest here too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope. What's significance about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. We must investigate the entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrives too. Okay. Examine. Die Fußspuren hier. There's no denying it, is there? They are footprints. Yes, it would appear so. And I simply can't imagine how they came to be there. Isn't there a Susato shoot-up or something? Like a Susato takedown, I mean. I'm no Wonder Woman, Mr. Naruhodo. That would make her almost superhuman, I suppose. War das eine Anspielung an Wonder Woman? Vielleicht? Oh, ein grüner Ballon! Eyes up! That's a really lovely model. It looks just like a real flying balloon. I think it's probably staying aloft in the same principle as a full-size balloon, using gas. A green flying balloon. It does have the hallmarks of the amazing deception at the Great Exhibition, doesn't it? Could it be that the whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? Oh, okay, ich verstehe. Der Raum wurde quasi genutzt, um das in Miniatur zu planen? Almost every piece of furniture is upside down. Even Mr. Sholmes' suite isn't ever in this much of a mess. You're in no position to comment on mess, Mr. Naruhodo. But I suppose it's not quite the same thing, is it? I mean, it's not messy in here per se. It's that everything is literally upside down. But why? Okay. Hier ist ein Tresor. Hier hinter. That's a very large safe. I don't suppose even Mr. Sholmes could open the lock. Although, if you were a thief, you could just steal the entire thing, I suppose. It's bolted to the floor to prevent exactly that sort of underhand trick, Mr. Naruhodo. Well then, you could just steal the floor as well, I suppose. I'm sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever is inside must be very important. Warte, was war das jetzt? Oh, to the floor, okay. Also, es ist am Boden befestigt. Und was haben wir hier? Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. Ich mag das gar nicht. Ich mag das gar nicht. It looks like a bundle of thick cigars. Ah! Miss Susato, what's the matter? Wet up in a large watch to me, but... What's the matter? That, that's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? What? Did you say... a time bomb? Sorry, but... What is a time bomb exactly? Eh? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruto. I won't take it as a compliment. Ha! You don't know nothing, do ya, Otto? You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruto. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance. Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it? I see. So that's it. Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I'm fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mr. Sato. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Dweber himself. Oh, but how could you? And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is without question completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything. It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway. Oh, you deflected the Inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly glance just there, Mr. Sato. Oh, yes, I'd be delighted. So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The great deduction. The game is afoot.